Yeah, Justin, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm doing a bit of writing, but yeah, there's a quote that actually reminds me of this topic by Justin Weller, and this quote goes a little bit deep, but you can apply this to business, and it goes that a man should be able to hug his children and be able to fight a man and kill a man within the same hour. And as brutal as that quote may sound, what this really is implying is the ability to be able to adapt in situations very, very quickly. And when you're a business owner, you're a freelancer, you're in sales, all these things, you really need to be able to shift a lot of your perspectives very, very quickly in very dire situations. And things come up in business in the sense that you don't know what's going to happen, right? A client could just bail out because he's not happy with results. It's just not something you may see. Um, a team member might leave, he might quit. So things happen, and you got to be able to take on the role of filling in a lot of the times for things that could go wrong, right? Sometimes you may have to become your own virtual assistant. Sometimes you might have to be able to fill in to do the job for yourself. So you got to be able to bounce back in a lot of these ways as well. So I love this topic overall. Um, but yeah, right. In recent times, it feels like I'm wearing every hat from the janitor to the CEO itself. But that's the role you got to play, especially in the beginning. I don't believe in this mantra where when you're first starting out, it's all about working smart and not hard. I don't believe in that. I feel like when you're starting out, especially, your goal should be to get to a point where you have systems in place that allow you to get to a place where you can work smart and less hard. But in the beginning, you're going to be struggling. You're going to be having those 12, 14, 16-hour days to really build up your systems. And over time, you can start positioning yourself where you're not relying on just wearing that one hat as well. So that's it for me, Justin. I'd like to head back over to you and then get through some hands that I think are going to be coming up. And shout out to everybody here as well. Make sure you guys are reposting the space. If you guys have any questions, throw your questions down in the purple pill. And then me and the speakers, we're going to do our best to try to answer you guys with a following space. So keep it up, guys.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, that was a pretty strong quote to start us off there. So yeah, and it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So yeah, you got to be able to be adaptable and pivot at a moment's notice. And but yeah, let's check in with Andy, and then we want to get into it. So guys, please raise your hand, come on stage. But yeah, Andy, over to you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's my son's birthday today, so it's pretty exciting. Went and said good morning to him. He's still at home, but he's going to school, which is fantastic. What? Not the school part. Here's the fantastic part: that he has a life. He pays for his school. He has a full-time job. He got promoted at work to become leadership. He's paying for his car. He's paying for school. He's got all of those things in order. And, as he moves through those things, he's starting to absorb that kind of mentality that Kevin has. And it's really fun as a dad to watch. But what hat are you wearing? I love the warrior poet. I literally am a warrior poet. So um, I am a poet. If you haven't seen, you can go through and find my thread. I wrote a big poem and talked about it on Kimberly K. Scott's podcast. And um, I'm a martial artist and I've taught world champions and all kinds of amazing things there. But the interesting part about what hat are you wearing? What's your competitive advantage? The the way I describe business is very simple. There is three parts. There's the acquisition part, finding customers, finding interest of people who are interested and turning them into customers, or taking your customers and giving them interest into something else. That's the whole sales and marketing piece. Then there's the fulfillment, delivering whatever you said they're interested in, whether it's a product or a service. That's the fulfillment side. And then everything else is administration, compliance, licensing, budget, finance, all of that kind of stuff, taxes. That's just administration. There are three legs of a business. And if you think of it that way as a solo entrepreneur, or as you're just starting out, or you're an entrepreneur, it's way easier than to think, I've got to do all the marketing and I've got to do the sales. I've got to learn all these parts and I've got to deliver and I've got to create the course. I've got to write the book. I've got to do the thing. I've got to do the taxes this week earlier, right? I've got to fill out the forms and send the things in. Yes, there's a lot to know, of course. But if you just think about it and you break it down into simpler parts, it's much easier to be honest with yourself and realize I'm really good at this part. I need some help in those other parts. It's a lot easier to do that stuff. And what is your competitive advantage? Here, my view of the competitive advantage is really simple. Every one of us is a unique creation of God, and we all have a unique set of abilities. They may overlap, they may be similar, but Justin is not Andy, and Andy is definitely not Timo, and Timo is definitely not Kevin, and Kevin is definitely not Danielle, and Danielle is definitely not Christelle or Netta or Kate. But each one of us together is awesome as a group, but each one of us is unique as a person. And so that is your competitive advantage. Lean into the uniqueness of you. No one has experienced the life that Kevin has, but also nobody's experienced the life that Danielle has and Christelle and on and on and on. Everyone wants to hear how you have overcome the same problems they have and your encouragement for them to share how they came over their things in the future to teach you so that we help each other. I think that's your competitive advantage in every case, whether you call that personal brand or personality or humanity or whatever. I think that is what makes each one of us wonderful. That's what makes humanity unique in the universe as far as I can tell. Doggies are doggies, you know. Some are nicer, some are not, but same as people, everything's unique, and we all work together. So I think that's our competitive advantage. But anyway, there's a few things to chew on.
Yeah, good stuff, Andy. I love how everyone is in the same business, all of us. When you break it down, we have two main jobs always: customer acquisition and customer retention, right? Or, in other words, sales and sales support, right? Everything is working towards a sale, and then fulfillment and all that, that's sales support, right? But here's something I recommend everyone do is experience, doing your bookkeeping, experience, building a WordPress site, experience, you know, uh, copywriting, experience, all these different skills. So then you can know, look, I like doing this, or I need to delegate this. And then you at least have some sort of idea on the value of what you're paying for when you learn it, do it, delegate it, right? Like I knew early on in my 20s when I was in my IT business, I made $1 million in 5 years, but I only netted 50 grand in those 5 years because, employees, office space, fill in the blank, right? It's very costly to do business in California. So, but I realized very quickly, I stayed in my lane. I stayed in the lane of things that I knew I was really good at, right? Like sales, like operations. I was also an engineer, right? But there was two things that I did not take on, and that was tax preparing and bookkeeping. I did not do that, right? Why? Because even though I took it in school, I realized, look, this is not something I enjoy doing. So if you find something that you really enjoy doing and you can make money with that skill, really lean into it. Lean into it hard, because ultimately that's where you're going to start thriving. And then just delegate to other things. Now, you may not be in a position where you can delegate things, right? You may be bootstrapped, right? You may be on limited budgets, right? So just know that, look, either you have to learn it and do it, or you can learn it and delegate it. And calculate your opportunity cost, right? Like, shout out to Christelle. She's got 2 VAs, right, that she uses, and that's huge, right? They help her out a lot. And I have a VA that helps me out a lot. So decide what you really want to focus on, but you don't have a business until you have sales. Okay, that's the reality, right? So you can do all the setup you want. You can do the best website in the world. You can have all the AI prompts you want. But guess what? You don't have a business until you have sales. That's the reality. And as a pro tip, if you can pre-sell your services, right? I know Kevin's done that. I know Christelle's done that. I've done that. I know probably Kate's done that. Jodelle, VB, right? It's like if you can pre-sell your services, even better. The Job Father, shout out to the Job Father. Behind every great man is an even greater woman. So there you go, Job Father. Good to see you. I was chatting with him on LinkedIn in the comments. So, but yeah, guys, like that's it at the end of the day. Is really, you got to focus on customer acquisition and customer retention. And if you have the energy like Kevin, who's in his 20s and I'm in my 40s, right, then you can do a lot more, right? But there's an opportunity cost. So what does that look like for you? And another benefit is, if you want to know your competitive advantage, first you got to recognize your weaknesses, right? You got to recognize your weaknesses, right? And I know mine. It's real simple. Good to see you, Alex Utopia out there. Yeah, you gotta recognize your weaknesses first, right? And sometimes we don't like to reveal our weaknesses, but I can tell you what mine are. It's very simple. Graphic design and video editing. Like, don't let me do that. It's not my jam, right? I stay in my lane, right? That's why I have a VA, or that's why I consult the experts on any video editing or graphic design. And now with AI, I can get by. I can get by, but it's still something that I just play around with, right? So what hat are you wearing right now in your business, right? We want to hear about it. What hat are you wearing, and what's your competitive advantage, right? And if you really love people, you will love sales, right? If you're a people person, you will love sales. You will do well in sales, because sales is a people business, right? So yeah, let's check in with Timo. Timo, how you doing? Then we're going to go to Max. Okay.
Hey. Yeah, sorry about that. Well, it's just putting the car in the parking lot. So yeah, great topic as always, and this space seems to be packed already. So that's great. Good to see a lot of regulars from the startup circle also finding their way to the revenue running spaces. So don't forget to check out Justin's offer for that if you need help on marketing, and join the Ronin army, uh, whether it's the dagger or the full-size samurai katana. Anyways, so yeah, it's a good day. It was vacation day. I was doing a lot of weird back-end stuff for all these newsletter things, and I did the updates on the Startup Circle website. I just didn't push them into production, but they seem to be working on a test server, so all is well. So I'll be pushing them out on the later time today. Other than that, yeah, newsletter thing is what my jam is right now. So I'm building those as much as possible. There's going to be a website for traffic, organic traffic build up too. So that's what I've been working on too. But yeah, what hat? Like today, I didn't wear my work hat, even though I snuck into one of the meetings that was ongoing. That was there was some kind of a wildfire starting in a wrong way. So I just had to go in and do some damage control during my vacation day. And it was kind of fun just to sneak into the Teams meeting and do damage control. Anyways, so there's so many hats to wear. especially in the government, technology, business, product managers. Well, I'm a project manager, but I'm like doing like multiple hats on that, plus all these hats on the building up business stuff. So I don't know. I have so many hats, but at the moment I just have my cap on, and I'm heading out to buy some groceries and listening to this epic space.
Yeah, always great to see you checking in, Timo. Thank you, and thanks for the plug on the revenue roading community. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Andy actually has like a real samurai sword. He showed me, so I don't have one, so maybe one day. But yeah, awesome. And yeah, like speaking, enjoy the vacation time, Timo, because yeah, like in all transparency, it's been about almost 2 years since I've had like a true vacation. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Don't worry. This summer, I'm planning
So
something. So
so you don't even have vacation during Easter time? It's like the holy holiday for the Christians.
Yeah, there's spring break, but so like all the kids are in school are on spring break, but the point is that
Wow.
most people work. We don't like shut down in the US. We don't just you know this. You don't shut down everything. Business keeps going. It's just you have to choose when to take your time.
Yeah, I imagine in Europe, and especially us Nordics are frowned upon for being uh, anti-Christians, and we're having all these Christian vacations. Like each Christian like holy day is a holiday here. So yeah, we're just paid vacation, enjoying that. So why work when we can get paid and just enjoy the Christian? Even though I'm not a Christian, we all get to enjoy those vacations.
So what the government does in California is they have bank holidays and other holidays. Like this Friday is Good Friday, so there will be, even though it's not approved, most companies will say everybody can go home at lunch. Same thing on Christmas Eve, same thing on New Year's Eve, same things on some other days before holidays. They go, yeah, come into work, or yeah, here's some lunch. Everybody will, go home. We'll see you later. So they do that kind of thing, but it's much more around building stuff. Here's another thing that the government actually does. The last 2 days has been the CIO conference for all of the uh, government CIOs, chief executive officers. So there are 58 counties in California, plus all of the different agencies and all of the other things. And so there was a 2-day conference where they brought in everybody in the world, and they walked around, and everybody walks around and says hi to each other, and there's a presentation by this agency and this consulting company and Microsoft and Oracle and blah blah blah, McKinsey and Gartner and everybody else. And then they give out awards at the end of it, and everybody takes their awards and go home. Essentially, it's a 2-day break from work. So it's a way for the consulting companies, everyone, to sell things to each other, but it's also a way for the CIOs and the management to get away from working and try to figure out what's going on for the next year. And the reason it's at this time of year is because the budget cycles, the rest of the budget confirmations are due at the end of this month, and the middle of May is when we finish all of the payments so that we can do all the approvals for the budgets, so that the budgets can end June 30th, and then all the new budgets start July 1st. So it's strategically built around the government budget cycle, but it's also a way for people to get out of the grind and do things differently. So it's not really vacation, but it's kind of vacation from work. So it's one of those kind of weird things that us Americans do that the rest of the world doesn't.
Yeah, you're just all about the grind. Yeah, here as everyone is pretty much the state religion here in the Nordics is Lutheran, so pretty much everyone gets baptized because just everyone gets baptized, and then just people stay or leave the church when they turn 18. So Yeah, it's a weird thing, but everything, all the holidays are based upon on Christian, like all the weird days off here and there. Like now it's the Friday and Monday are day off and whatnot. So because it's Easter, and yeah, yeah, we're just built differently. Even though people think that Europe is all bad and not Christian anymore, but actually we are pretty Christian.
East side.
Oh man, awesome. Yeah, good stuff, guys. Well, yeah, let's get to some of these hands here. Great discussion, and yeah, those those Norwegians, the Nordics. We had a lot of great history there, and I can't say I've done an ice plunge like Timo, so yet. So one of these days I want to do that. So that was
When
that was
when you get
awesome.
your private jet, when you get your private jet down up here, and I'll throw you into a cold lake.
Let's do it. Yes, we will plan that for sure. 1,000%. Awesome. All right, let's get to these hands here, guys. Thanks, Timo, for checking in. Always a pleasure. Let's go to Max, and then we'll go to Vivi, and then Netta. Max, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. Justin, Kevin, and the Neda and every team, and Crystal, and everybody there. You made me realize something. I've been using too many hats until the pandemic that I even got confused. The brand ate me. I'm the owner of Andes Wines, the leading wine site, and then I created another website platform called Amix Tech, and those brands make me a lot of shadow to myself. So that's why I became a digital nomad in Texas and Mexico. I wanted to learn about tequila, about agave, and about mezcal, but I also work in startups. So when I returned to Chile, I didn't know what hat to use. And let's say 6 months ago, thanks to this space in particular, and all of you guys and different spaces that I participate, I learned from all of you to focus in just one. So I'm a PR. I've got 2,000 articles around the world, Bloomberg included, and I've been featuring Forbes. But for clients, it's very important that so affordable PR. It's a trend right now because it's so expensive in every single country. So I drop everything, even the coffee, even the Cabernet Sauvignon project are aside now until the ecosystem gets into that, because we are living in an economic crisis in South America with all the politicals. So since I started focusing just in PR, I got attracted clients. That's the most important thing, like you were saying. And now I'm working from a businessman who's launching his clothing line from Chile in the region that I live. So I have to work in wine and spirits and everything because he wants to show their image with those products. So you never know when you specialize in something. Uh, you have to know that when you get specialized in something so bad that you will attract those clients, and that's what Timo and Kevin and Justin and everybody's talking about. And I really appreciate your vision constantly because I take notes, and you count on me on South America. I'm pretty far, but for sure, some of you will do a business in the future with Latam. I think the closest that I have is Kevin is in Mexico. So when I go there, my first stop will be having a coffee with you in Playa del Carmen because my business partner is there. So thank you, all of you, really. And back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Max, for sharing. That's good feedback. And yeah, man, I really appreciate getting know you on these spaces. And would you mind sharing what separates your PR from the others? Like what makes you stand out?
Well, I started writing when I was 17, and we didn't have social media at that time. Uh, I started writing when I was 23. I started Andes Wines, and I created a database of 500 wine and economic editors from all over the world. One by one, I collected the database. I created a newsletter that gets to 95,000 people that they are key decision makers. So I can make a blast to 400 media in one click. I have an automatized service, but then I realized how important it is to be targeted. So now we are working a story on one big major media. We were featuring Forbes. So all the learning of making the blast to inform everybody, we got 2,000 articles around the world, but now I prefer to have one in Forbes than 20 in small media around the world. So that's the main difference. We got a partner in London, where she works in other investment cinema movies. So high-end media is very complicated to get because you have a lot of intermediates, and that's kind of the thing. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff, Max. Thanks for those pro tips. And yeah, like you want to make sure if you land one big publication, right? That's huge. And sometimes it's important to go directly to the source, right? That's why companies pay Max, because the high dollars, because he has relationships with those publications, right? So it's all about the relationships, right? And they're leveraging his relationships to get better publication, more visibility, right? There's a formula here. It's visibility plus credibility equals stability, right? Visibility plus credibility equals profitability. Now, in my instance, there's been a lot of companies who have the credibility, but they just don't have the visibility, right? So they need help with that, right? There's other companies, they have the visibility, they have the credibility, but they don't have the profitability, right? So there's those. And then there's also, hey, I have the credibility, I don't have the profitability, I don't have the visibility, right? So any one of combinations of those I've had experience with dealing with, but as a general rule of thumb, right, it's like, what area do you need to focus on for your business or your clients, right? And here's a pro tip. If you have an email list of buyers, right, they've signed up for your products and services, they've purchased from you or your clients, you can build lookalike audiences with Facebook ads. And these retargeting ads are very low. Like this is a big pro tip here. If you can learn Facebook retargeting ads, it's a cheat code. I'm telling you. Every time I've rolled this out, it works really well for clients. And one recently, I've been running campaigns for, like, we've literally been just blowing it up because they have a list of buyers on their Shopify store. They shared it with me. I created lookalike audiences, and now we're getting 10x, 12x return on ad spend, because I'm targeting other buyers that look like them based on email address, right? So if you don't have a big list, that's okay. You need about a couple thousand to get started, but once you have that list, it's pure gold. And this is like low-hanging fruit, right? Low-hanging fruit. You're going to have higher click-through rates. You're going to have lower cost per acquisition, lower cost per click, and they really work well. So if I was to focus on two things, right, it'd be email marketing and Facebook retargeting ads, right, for general across the board for businesses. Now, maybe some companies this might not apply to because their target audience isn't on Facebook, and that's okay. But for the most part, any type of retargeting ads and email marketing is like foundational 101. That's what you need, right? And you can really master those for 90 days. You'll see great results. So let's get to these hands. Thanks, Max, for sharing. And online PR is a big part of it, right? It's a big part of the internet pizza or puzzle that you need to focus on. So yeah, let's get to Netta, and then we're going to go to Vivi. Netta, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. This topic is really top of mind right now. What hat are you wearing? Can I just ask, what's your comp ADV? What is that?
Competitive advantage.
Oh, okay. That's a balance I'm trying to strike right now because I wear many hats. Many of you know me as the community builder, working in project management, IT, and I have a plethora of ancient history. What hat am I wearing right now? I'm having a difficult time choosing, but right now I'm building a community, a new one. I'm announcing it. So the hat that I'm wearing these days until Monday is community builder, and my competitive advantage, I guess, is that I'm able to zoom in and zoom out very well because of my studies. I studied 3 disciplines of design in 3 years. So the user empathy has been very honed. And then I did some UX, UI design as well. So being able to understand the experience of someone when using a product, a service, or even in a community, like consistently in and out, zoom in and out, is it's an advantage that I've noticed many people don't have. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Netta. Yeah, I love your background and your skill sets, and that you're continuing to build. And yeah, like you've been great, and you were one of the first spaces, the Hunt, you and Sean Charles, that I joined along with like Kevin's space early on. So yeah, I really appreciate your expertise and what you're building, and yeah, wishing you all continued success. And yeah, like that's not an easy thing to focus on project management, but I've actually experienced working with Netta in a setting where she was a great project manager. So um, it's one thing when people speak about it, but it's another thing when you actually see them in their element, right? Like seeing Netta as a project manager, like it was like next level, right? Just like working with Andy or Timo or Danielle in their element, or Christelle, right? When you work with somebody in their element, you have the opportunity to see them really shine. So yeah, good stuff, Netta. Thank you for coming up here. We got about 20 minutes left only, so I want to get to these hands here. So we'll go to VB, Danielle, then Christelle, then Jobfather. VB, how you doing,
All
man?
right. I'm doing fantastic right now. Thanks so much, Justin, for having me on this speaker panel. And I want to say hi to everybody, Kevin, Andy, Neda, Timo, Danielle, and everybody on stage, everybody I know, everybody I've spoken to before. It's wonderful to be back on Spaces. I just took a couple weeks off, 36 days to be precise, but I'm back right now. Um, this is a very interesting topic, Justin, and I have a couple of talking points. I did take notes, but before I can go to my points, I do have a question with regards to you were talking about retargeting ads, and yeah, I've worked with retargeting ads when I used to work for LinkedIn, and it definitely works fantastic. So you were talking about Facebook retargeting. I want to know if X has retargeting as well. So does X marketing or X marketing have this retargeting feature, or also something like a lookalike audience feature?
Yes, I believe they do. Yes. And I don't have a big enough list to upload, but I have clients that do. But yeah, there is an opportunity
Hmm.
to upload uh, lists and do
Hmm.
lookalike audiences on X ads. Yes. From my
Okay,
understanding, yeah.
that's fantastic because I also heard you say that I think 1,000 you need like 1,000 people, but I don't know. On LinkedIn, you just need about 300 people, and you can now create an audience, and the cost per result and cost per returns significantly drops. So thanks for this information, and thanks for rekindling this knowledge of mine, which I buried in my brain because I used to work long ago. Anyway, coming back to this topic at hand, um, a quick, let's say, going back in time during the 1950s. Um, if there's in a household, there was one earning person, right? The man used to go to a job, probably a government job, probably earning medium wages, but they will live a happy life, right? With his family, entire family, wife and kids, in a reasonable house as well, right? This was back in 1950s, but now in 2025, you have two earning people, right? Husband and wife will be earning. not even medium wage jobs, probably high paying jobs, but they will still be struggling, right, to meet ends meet, providing for their family, living the life that they want to live. My point here is times have always been changing. Okay, you never used to have two people working. You never had the need to have two people working in a household to meet ends meet. But now, even when two people are working, at least this is the case back here in India for me. Okay, when two people are working, you're still struggling. People are still stressed out. Okay, you're still looking at the price tag before you buy stuff. Um, Now, with times changing, what has also changed is the fact that you can't be a specialist in one topic anymore. The topic is fantastic because this is what it takes, in my opinion. And I've gone through podcasts of Dan Coe and multiple people. In my opinion, to make it in this generation, you got to be a specialized generalist, not just a specialist in one area. So let's assume I'm someone who wants to be a writer, but if I'm only great at writing, right? How am I going to get my audience? How, what if my marketing skills are poor? What if my speaking skills are poor? What if I don't know how to create a website? What if I don't know how to do a graphic design stuff, right? So you need to be a generalist in most of the things, but you need to be a specialized generalist in one topic. So for example, writing, right? For me, let's just take writing. 80% of my energy I would, or 70% of my energy I would put into writing and knowing more about writing frameworks, knowing more about how to persuasively persuade this kind of particular audience. Yes, I will put my energy into that. But I also have to put 30% of my energy into learning how to sorry about my language, into learning how to persuade people with my writing, number one, into learning how to create a website, number two, into learning how to build an audience, right? And into also learning into how to create relationships right now, like what I'm doing right now. If you're asking me what hat am I wearing right now, of course, we all have to, and me working as a person who's worked also in a startup in my life, I've worn multiple hats. And what the kind of hat that I'm wearing right now is my relationship hat. Okay, I'm wearing this hat. I'm coming into the space and I'm trying, number one, trying to maintain relationships that I've made in the past, in the form of Justin, Kevin, Andy, so on and so forth. And I'm Timo. And I'm also trying to build new relationships right now because that is important, right? In a business, in 2025, if you don't create new relationships, what's the whole point? You need powerful friends, you need strong friends, you need a network. So that's the hat I'm wearing right now. Um, Many other points, but I wouldn't want to use up the stage too much. But thanks for this time, Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Vivi. Some wise words there, and yeah, I love the term like specialized generalist, and then from there, then we can really focus on, okay, I'm just gonna lean in on my ghostwriting, or fill in the blank, right? Like, and I think it's much needed now more than ever. But the hardest part, this is where I see people get a lot of views on their stuff, but this is where the rubber really meets the road. Is how many connections do you have that you can really go deep with, right? Like, who are your power 300, right? Like, who are those power 300 in your network that when you connect with them and you let them know, like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with, here's what I need help with, here's what I'm building right now, that you can really count on to support you and help you grow. Because that's the ultimate, right? When you can have maybe 5,000 surface level connections, but if you have 300 people like you guys here in this space that you can really count on each and every week to lift you up, that's ultimately the hardest thing to build, which is why not a lot of people do that, right? Not a lot of people are willing to put in the work and that have that staying power, right? Not a lot of people are willing to do it. It's super difficult. But if you can do it, you will reap the rewards, right? I mean, look at Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He's a perfect example. I've met him 3 times personally. And dude, that guy is like next level. Okay. And he's the same in person as he is online, right? He wants to connect with everybody, and he has that staying power, right? And yeah, he used to be a business guy in his, dad's liquor store wine business, but then he started, getting onto social media, and then it was just like, the guy's a rock star. He's, he's he's next level. So all of us here on this platform, we're creating relationships. And just my takeaway is just see who those, even 100, right? Like even in sales, who are those dream 100 clients that you want to work with, right? Write them out, like identify them. If they're corporate clients, if they're other ex-creators, write them down on a short list so it's visual and you have a target, right? This is what I'm doing for brand deals. This is what I'm doing for big potential clients, right? I'm writing them down, I'm visualizing it, and then I'm doing the work. So yeah, good stuff, Vivi. Stemmed a lot of deep inner thought here. So yeah, let's go to Danielle, and then the job father, and then Christelle.
Hey, so I'd raised my hand twofold. One, I would just wanted to say kudos to Timo for highlighting you. I love when I see both on here and in the real world, people take up their 5 minutes of time promoting somebody else, right? I mean, there's nothing like that than to have somebody else speak on your behalf. So that just it elevated my heart a little bit. It really did. And then when Max was talking about, PR, and as I think I shared with you guys yesterday, next week I'm being interviewed by Forbes magazine. And so that is such a fortuitous thing. And so the guy that's actually interviewing me for that, he lives in Idaho. He just so happens to be coming into Orange County this week. And he mentioned, hey, we should connect. Not on the interview, we're going to do that virtually, but he's attending an event tonight. So I'm like, okay, what's that? So next thing you know, I buy, my $100 ticket, and I'm going to go to the Wild Goose Tavern in Costa Mesa, right? I don't know anything about this association growth for corporations group, but yeah, I can go as a non-member. Then I go onto their website. I find there's 4 people that are members that I'm relatively close to, but I didn't even know they were a part of that. And so I'm spending time this morning connecting with people on LinkedIn, going into their inbox because I can see the registration list and say, hey, oh, I see you know so and so, and I do. So when I walk in that room tonight, I have this warm kind of like, friendship that's brewing instead of us all trying to talk and look at each other's badges, right? So it's such an important competitive edge to just do your homework. When that kind of information is available to you and you utilize it, it is so powerful because we're all there, right? To form those relationships, see what the business opportunities, not just for us, but how we can serve those people, right? We got to lead with, what could I do for them? Who could I introduce them to? And a lot of times when you've got like 100 people in a room all, for an hour and a half, especially in dark spaces like taverns, you really can't do that unless you do the homework, the prep work, right? And I'm gonna just land on this one too. Yesterday I posted something and I didn't get any likes, and I'm not crying in my coffee. I'm not here to impress anybody. I live to impact, right, and inspire. But I put something like, hey, follow me on blah blah blah, and like there's not one like, and I'm like, either the algorithm doesn't like this or X people don't like this. I'm not sure. But to your earlier point, Justin, you were connecting with somebody on LinkedIn and having another conversation. That's happening to me increasingly, both on Substack and LinkedIn, where I'm having really cool conversations in messaging through people that I've met on X, and and I'm getting to understand like what they actually do, right? Because maybe for the 2 minutes they speak, I don't know everything or I don't follow up. So don't know if that's taboo to be putting other links, but I am finding it like even on TikTok, there are people like, oh, oh, you are? And then I'm finding them there and I get to see another side of them. So the picture gets bigger, right? The relationship gets bigger and I have a better understanding of how I could even add value to their business. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, good points, Danielle. I'll just add on that there's a direct correlation when it comes to connecting with people online first and then taking it offline. And even there's a revenue component to that as well. So when I worked at Peak Potentials training and I, built all these Facebook community pages organically in each city across the country, in each major city as part of my strategy. And we came to the conclusion that because we were creating community before an event, right? Before an event. When the people would show up at the event, because they had already had that affinity, that relationship, that context, they actually paid more and signed up for more courses, right? That's the direct correlation. So if you can connect with people, now it's not always the case to drive revenue, but we are in the revenue running community. So I think it's a good point to make that, look, if you can create community offline first, do these small connections, build relationships, add value, it just makes the in-person meeting that much more impactful, right? And you can see a correlation in the data of some of those people. They end up spending more money on actually products and services. So there is a data component there. So yeah, good stuff, Daniel. Let's get over to the Jobfather and then Christelle and then Timo, and then we'll start wrapping up. Yeah, Jobfather, how you doing, Justin?
Hey, Justin, how's it going? Hey, Andy, Christelle, Kevin, Netta, Danielle, Timu, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great. Thanks again, Justin, for the comment. You're right. Behind every great man is a great woman, and I'm glad to have one. Had to show her off. She's just so pretty. I had to show her off on LinkedIn. Some of my women clients were starting to get a little bit too personal, so I had to show off my wife. But I digress. Wearing many hats is very true, man. And we wear the worst hat I hate wearing right now is marketing, and unfortunately, I can't afford. Well, I'm in the process of being able to, but at the moment, I can't afford the true standard I need at marketing. I can do the base level. I'm a very skilled guy. A lot of people don't know this. I went to Georgetown. I'm a smart guy. Okay, I majored in operations and informational management. I know how to horizontally and vertically grow and scale any organization, and I'm very well diverse in how to use any kind of database when it comes to data analytics and just building out things. So, with all that being said, I have a huge skill set, but I do also understand the true value when it comes to marketing. So, before I pay somebody, I really want to be able to afford the amount I need to get it done without me throwing a fit when it's if it's not done correctly. Uh, but the value add is all of those different skills I have. A lot of my classmates at first would say, "Man, why are you doing recruiting? You majored in operations informational management. You went to this great school." Because I like doing it. I like what I do. I like recruiting. I became great at it. I focused in on it and I realized I can make a lot of money doing a lot less work than project and program managers were doing, having a lot less responsibility and being on a chopping board less frequently, right? But especially when I stepped out on my own and started charging 30% for the starting salary as a, headhunter for my own. So, but the marketing piece sucks. And one thing I also hate is accounts receivables. So a trick that I've begun doing, because it's an uncomfortable thing on the corporate business to business side, I took my person out of it. I don't have an accounts receivable team, but I have an accounts receivable specialist named Rashmi from an email that I've made up with my domain, and that has tend to kind of separate it, and they deal directly with the team's accounts payable departments, and that has made companies, especially bigger companies, take my business more seriously, and has closed out my accounts receivable rate significantly. So I'll land my plane there so others can speak. Thank you guys for having me. I hope you guys have a great day.
A lot of people do that with their own assistants, right? So I might actually have another assistant at my company, 11th Street Consulting, which is just a different email so that my assistant can reach out and say, Andy's not available today. I'm sorry. We're going to have to schedule some other time. I do the same thing. It's like $8 a month to get another email whole domain, and it create. So what you done, Justin, is created a a good barrier to your access. And what if you look at the way all of businesses operate, the more important you become, the more valuable your time is, because it's the only commodity we can't change. Can't change time. I can go borrow money. I can go get other people. I can go get other resources. I can't get any more of Andy's time. I got the same time that you do. And so when your time becomes more valuable, you just offload the barriers and each one of those tasks. Like you should, if you need a VA, you can go to Virtual Synergies and get it from from our sponsor, or you can create it yourself. You can spend the $9 and have somebody do that for an hour for you a month, or you can get another account. But it's fantastic that you're creating that thing, because what it does is it elevates your time in everybody else's mind. So Justin, what you're really doing is creating marketing about your personal brand to make you more valuable by putting somebody in the way. Anyway, Justin, I think we got about 3 more minutes.
Yeah, I just want to offer up a quick coaching for Justin here. So, you are great at marketing, Justin. Why? Because you have the Jobfather brand. That's number one. Okay. Number two, yeah, you're an operations systems guy, which is great, but you're part of the revenue running community, and there's tons of training in there for you as part of your plan. So this will help level up your marketing and your sales, which you're already a good sales guy. So, on the marketing side. So yeah, don't discount that, right? Abundance thinking, right? Abundance thinking. And then, yeah, like even in my IT business, when my title was director of operations. Why? Because I didn't want to be known as the owner or co-owner. I had an angel investor too, but who was my client? So my client became my angel investor in that company. But that's a story for another day. But the point is, you want to have that perception and that separation if you can, because it adds another level of depth and dimension, and portrays that, wow, okay, this is a serious company I'm working with, right? Like they got multiple team members, multiple departments. You want that, right? You want to have that perception. So yeah, good stuff, Justin. Thanks for checking in. We got like 1 minute left, so I'm gonna go quickly to Christelle for like 30 seconds and then close us out. Sorry, Christelle.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. First of all, I just want to thank everyone that came to our How to Host a Space yesterday in the Startup Circle. It was wonderful. And the new hat that I'm wearing is to be the plug, the connector. So I've been going to different networking events and I'm trying different strategies to get those one-on-one calls. And this strategy is working a lot better. Instead of thinking, ooh, who could be a client here? I'm thinking, who can I connect this person with? And so I'm reaching out to people and saying, hey, I hear you have this app. I know a couple of people off the top of my head that I would love to connect you with. And I'm getting way more responses. And then I can talk to them about, would you like to hear about my marketing skills? So that's the new hat that I'm wearing, and it's working really well. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Christelle. You are the the queen connector as well, just like you and Netta. When I think of the queen of connectors, I think of you and Netta. So you guys have done well. So guys, thanks again. Another great space here. I got to head over to the corporate gig now. Just finished the workout. So we did, about 20 miles here on the bike. And shout out to Jodelle with her new PFP profile pic. That's awesome. Good stuff, Jodelle. Good to see you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And just remember, we'll be here tomorrow in the Startup Circle community with another daily sales and marketing mastery mini MBA masterclass. And just remember, at the end of our lives, we'll ask ourselves 4 simple questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And did I make a difference? Until next time, keep making a difference. Build that mind, build that body, build that business, build that bank account, but most importantly, build that legacy. So stay hungry and stay humble. We'll see you guys at the top. And if you want to keep growing, you better call the Revenue Ronin and check out our sponsor, Virtual Synergy. $9 an hour VAs. I use them. They're great. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love.